The Sonos Arc has been out for a little bit over a year, and I've heard nothing but good things about it, but I personally haven't gotten a chance to check it out. And as a Sonos Beam user, I wanted to get it and see if it's going to be a huge upgrade over the current Sonos Beam setup that I have. So is it? Stay tuned and let's find out. Hello and welcome to the channel Tech with KG. On this channel, I check out TVs, audio, gaming, and other technology that you might use in your home. I post at least one video every week, and I do a live stream every Friday so you can come by and ask your tech questions. I have helped thousands of people find the right tech for their home, and hopefully I can help you in the near future. With that out of the way, let's dive into the Sonos Arc. One thing I want to note about the unit that I bought is it was $50 less than the current Sonos Arc setup because it is the Shadow Edition, which means that it doesn't have a built-in microphone, while the original Arc does have the microphone. So keep that in mind. Now, the biggest thing I wanted to check out with the Sonos Arc was how much better is it than my current Beam setup. When you're talking about a soundbar that costs $500 more than the Beam, then in my opinion, the difference should be clear. I wanted you to know that my Sonos Beam setup has two rear Sonos One speakers, and honestly, it gives me a pretty good surround effect. However, you don't get any of that Atmos height channel or anything like that from the Sonos Beam setup. So that's why I wanted to check out the Arc. So not only will I be testing out the Sonos Arc as a standalone unit, but I'll also test it with the side speakers to see if that makes a big difference overall. Unfortunately, I don't have the ability to test the add-on sub, so we're not going to be talking about that too much in this video. One thing that was clear to me right away was that going from the Beam to the Sonos Arc was a clear improvement of sound overall. It was a lot more powerful than the Sonos Beam standalone unit. The Sonos Arc has a lot more bass than the Sonos Beam has, and overall you just hear way more power from the Sonos Arc. One of my favorite things about the Sonos Beam was the ability to have clear dialogue. I'm happy to say that the Sonos Arc gives me that feeling as well. However, there is a little bit of a downside for me. Whenever I have any sort of bass or any low frequencies going on, I kind of feel like the dialogue gets a little bit muffled when it comes to rumbling bass. The bass from the Sonos Arc is really powerful, but it comes at a cost. The bass on the Sonos Arc is both good and bad at the same time. For the most part, it's very impressive and it's very powerful in most sequences, and in most scenes you're going to be impressed with it. However, when it comes to a lot of bass being pumped in, oftentimes it's not as clear and tight as I would want from bass. I do feel like sometimes the Sonos Arc's mid and high frequencies get drowned out a bit by the bass at times. When it comes to music, I think that the Sonos Arc is a good soundbar. Songs that feature an acoustic guitar and a really airy vocal really shines on this soundbar. It sounds incredible. The clarity is almost as good as my reference studio monitors. Let's go ahead and take a listen on how music sounds for this soundbar as a standalone soundbar. Alright, now let's take a listen to how it sounds with the rear speakers attached. Unlike movies, with music I feel like the bass doesn't necessarily always drown out the other frequencies, and this is probably because most music is mixed with the intent of vocals and instruments cutting through on the bass. Although I have to say I wasn't a big fan of the lower mid frequencies when it came to music. It almost sounded like they had a muddy sound to them. For movies, for the most part, this soundbar was really good, and the Atmos effect overhead is pretty decent for the most part for a soundbar. But I wasn't blown away by it like I am with Atmos in the theaters. It has an impressive soundstage, and it really does feel like the sound is surrounding you for the most part. When it is a solo soundbar, it does a very good job. In fact, I feel like it does such a good job that the bar alone is going to be good enough for most people in a similar room setup as me. Now, for example, I have a room that's about a medium-sized room, and I have a door, so it is an enclosed room, so keep that in mind. I tested it with both the rear speakers on and off, and I gotta say that I was very impressed. Okay, next I'm gonna show you what a movie would sound like on the Sonos Arc as just a standalone soundbar. Okay, now let's listen to how it sounds with the surrounds attached. I don't feel like it was very necessary like I felt it was with the Sonos Beam. In fact, I watched a movie with the Sonos Ones plugged in, and I unplugged it mid-movie, and nobody really noticed that I unplugged them, and even I could barely hear a difference. So I really feel like the Sonos Ones are not a necessary addition, and I would definitely opt to get the sub first, as there is a lot to be gained by adding a sub, because while the bass is powerful, I do feel like the Sonos sub is going to be the first addition you're really going to want to consider. You just have to keep in mind that it is going to be an extra $750. So overall, the conclusion that I came to is for an extra $100, I could have the Sonos Arc and no rear speakers and be just as happy as I was with the Beam and rear speakers, but with the added effect of having Atmos capability. I think that the Sonos Arc and the Beam with surrounds is about equal, though I definitely give the edge to the Sonos Arc standalone unit. It's clear that the Sonos Arc is a more powerful system. However, I do have to say that the Sonos Beam setup with the two surrounds had better dialogue overall, and things just felt a little bit clearer when I was watching movies. So adding the Sonos ones to the Arc wasn't a huge difference overall for my space, but adding the ones to the Beam was a huge difference over the Beam as a standalone soundbar. So if I kept the Arc over the Beam, what I would do is probably sell my Sonos ones and put that towards the Sonos sub, because I do think that would be a massive improvement with the Sonos Arc rather than having the Sonos Arc and surrounds, because I didn't feel like the Sonos Arc and surrounds really added much to it, but I know a sub would definitely be different and get the job done. Oh, and before I forget, remember to stay tuned to this channel because I will be putting the Bose 900 head-to-head against the Sonos Arc, and we're going to see which Atmos soundbar for $900 is going to be the best of the best. If you guys want to see my review for the Bose 900, make sure you click this video right here. Thank you guys so much for watching, have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.